Well, before we start going with the figure, we should probably review a couple concepts and anatomy, since we're doing a realistic human model, and how the principles of art apply to it. Remember, there's principles of art and elements of art. As you may know from your figure drawing class, the human body proportions are separated into 8 divisions using the head as a measuring unit. So if I draw the head here, and this is not a drawing class, so we're going to do this very basically. If we draw a circle in here, just for our head, remember this is not a drawing class, so we'll go rough a little bit. We have 8 heads down to the floor, or you can count from the floor up. We'll put a couple triangles here to indicate the feet. We're going to keep it simple, and then we'll flesh it out. Halfway point on the body is the crotch area, or where the legs start. So if you count 4 heads down or up, 1, 2, 3, 4, right here, I'm going to put a V here to indicate the crotch. That's where the middle of the body is. Let me just move the head a little over. Now the knees are 2 heads up, so they sit on top of that line. So we're just going to put a couple dots here to indicate the knees. So 2 heads up is where the knees start. Then from the head down, about 3/4 of the way down on the second head, from the top down, is kind of how long the neck is, about like this. And then to each side, we had about a head length is what the shoulders are. So we go like this, and this will be really good for you to draw on your own, so you can remember and memorize these proportions. So that's about how wide the shoulders are. The shoulders on the man though stick out on the deltoid, at the bottom of the deltoid, stick out a little bit more. Now the waist is 3 heads down, so right here is also where the belly button is. So again, we'll put a couple dots here to indicate where the elbows are and where our waist is. So all those things line up: the elbow, the waist, the belly button. On the female, the belly button is a little lower, but we'll draw here our rib cage. We'll do something like this. It's going to be a rib cage, and then our arm, we're going to go down. We're just going to make stick figures here, and this is going to be fine for now. We'll flesh it out in a second here. Then our hand on the male especially gets almost to this 2-3 heads down, but usually the fingers are curled, so they're not completely straight, so they don't quite make it down there yet, depending on the person. Now we can start fleshing out things. So it's important now that we remember that we don't want a Michelin Man when we model. We know there's muscles in there, but we don't want the muscles to look like this, right? We don't want Michelin arms. So when you think about rhythm and drawing, you probably think about maybe a pulse line, like in a cardiogram, or you can think about rhythm like this when drawing. You have opposite curves, or you can have a curve like this. But in our case, the body has those same curves in here. So if you look at it, the triceps are a little higher on the outside, and the biceps, the apex of the curve is on inside, is lower. Then we have the elbow here. We kind of see a little bit of a bump inside, and then the muscle inside. The muscle outside is higher. Same with the calves. The muscle on the outside is higher, and on the inside is lower. And then you have the bump for the knee. You have the thighs here. We have our waist here, which is aligned with the belly button, especially in the male. And these things are important to remember when you're modeling. So we tend to forget a little bit that we're artists and just try to push buttons and push polygons around, but you have to remember these things. So we have a certain rhythm going on the body, and we have to try to preserve it on our 3D modeling. So if if your measures is not necessarily 3D, just remember those rhythms. So we have muscle high on the outside on the tricep, a little bump, then lower on the inside on the forearm, and higher on the outside. Then we also have some traps in here. So we have those rhythms going on. So we have high, low, high, high outside, low inside, and then it reverses here at the ankles. Is the ankles lower on the outside, higher on the inside. Higher on the inside, lower on the outside, and then we have our feet here. Okay. Then if you trace a line from the shoulders to the belly button, that's kind of where the nipples are here, kind of about 2 heads down. You can put your pecs here if you want. And then we have our clavicle bone here. And that's about the body, like a rough representation of the body. But the main thing I want you to think about is, okay, how are my muscles lining up? So a lot of people draws an angry face here at the calves to remember the order of them. They go like this. So low on the outside, high on the inside, high on the outside at the calf, and low on the inside. It's the same on the bicep. So you have the bicep, the apex right here at the bottom. It's kind of flat going up, and then it's higher on the outside with the tricep. So just remember those things. We'll talk more about anatomy as we go, but these are the main things I want you to remember. Also, remember your center of gravity. So a lot of the time I'll have people that use this reference that doesn't match. It doesn't match the side view to the front view. So if we do the same thing here, we know where the crotch is right here, right? And the knees are above the second line up. Your body kind of has a rhythm from the side view too. So if you were to look at the head, like you have this angle on the jaw going up a little bit. The angle on the shoulders from the side, it kind of follows the same angle than the jaw. So you have the neck going back a little bit a lot of the time. This line of the neck, sometimes it lines up with the brow. It's kind of like the same angle here. So this line, not always, but sometimes, it's kind of the same angle. Then you can draw your face here. Then the body goes out on the chest, kind of towards where the rib cage ends, is the farther out. Then it goes the stomach, it goes a little flat. And there's the crotch here. The thighs go out. And then your knees are right above this, and your weight is on top of it. So your your chin bone is right below your center of gravity. So you'll see this going on a lot. Okay, so all your weight is resting right here on these bones. So it's kind of under your body, it's not in front. So on males, the shoulder blades stick out a lot, even more than the butt actually. So we have something like this going on, right? Again, this is not a drawing class, but just keep those things in mind. So this bone goes out, this muscle goes out. So again, you have the same thing, the rhythm, curve, straight line. On the opposite side, curve, straight line, curve, right? So you have that rhythm going on. So that's one of the elements of art, so you should use it. Then the arm, it depends on the position you're using it. You can kind of see it's kind of closer towards the front. but we have our rhythms going up. On the back, we can't really see the inside of the arm, we just see the bone, and we have our hand here, right? So just remember this: the thighs forward, the shin bones back with the calf down. So if you were to trace a line with, especially on the male, you would see this going up. You would see the calf is kind of sticking out more than the butt and the shoulders, and on the females is not like that. And the females is the butt is sticking out more, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, this is our male, so it depends on what you're doing with if you're doing the male or the female, what you're modeling. We'll talk about the differences here in a minute.